Welcome back to Tama and Review. This is episode number 3. This I'm viewing the third season of the anime, which pretty much was about 51 episodes, covering episodes 100 through 150. Yep. And this season had at least about 9 arcs. Let's first start off with the opening episode. It's just a filler one, just kind of suggestions like what the show should do, while showing some stock footage. Yeah, this is one of 2 episodes they do this full season where basically they show a lot of stock footage from previous episodes. And also, this is the episode debut of the new theme, which I do like the theme they have. There are 2 themes they have for the season. I should continue with talk about the season itself. The first theme I thought was really, really good. I thought it was the first really good opening theme since the first theme that started off the season. So the following one was actually still pretty good as well. After the whole filler episode with the whole suggestions thing. And then the next 5 episodes is the Shinigami Crisis arc. Yep, Shinigami Crisis. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, there are 9 arcs. Yeah, this one basically was, it's one of 2 arcs season that involves the Shinigami is involved in the title of the arc. Yeah, and the way that the anime presents this, it's very dark and gritty, kind of like what it did with another arc they did the previous season, because it probably was proved to be a success, and that was the Bentukura arc. Yeah, from the previous season. Yeah, probably because people like that, so they did the same thing with this one. And the whole thing with this one is that Hitsugawa basically is given a cursed sword that apparently is possessed by a guy who loves anime. So in a middle meeting, he's having Hitsugawa's having a private conversation with Kaido, and he has to end it abruptly because Sailor Moon is on. Well, a parody of it, and it's so hilarious. The fact that it's like this, and it's this guy who we've never seen before. As a matter of fact, this is the only arc this guy appears in. And apparently Hitsugawa doesn't trust him very much, so yeah, he doesn't trust him, so yeah, he does plot something. He plans to overthrow the Shinigami, eventually the government itself. And Soto works him justice to give it to Hitsugawa because he wants the vice chief position. And he's like, sure. Why not? Give him a vice chief position. Yep. Of course, the guy is sort of put on suspension, and then of course he goes to a show that involves people who involve geek culture. Yeah, it's a spoof of it. And eventually, after a little while, he tells Ginkai he does odd jobs to basically save the Shinigami. They do. And they also steal they steal one of their cars, and they have the whole group pretty much put on their uniforms, which I thought was so funny, especially seeing Kagura wearing the uniform. So she's the second woman I've seen in the series of wear the Shinigami uniform. The last one was the idol singer from last season. Oh, there's one thing I forgot to mention from last season before I continue. There was this particular episode where Gin had to sit out a whole day because he had a cold. So Kagura posed as him for the entire episode, which I thought was so funny. Yeah, she puts on his clothes, which I'm like, okay. Yeah, I get maybe he's trying to be a stand-in for him, but to put on his clothes, especially since she's shorter than he is and smaller than he is. And she even tries to drive his moped around town, but she apparently doesn't know how to use the brakes, so she keeps wrecking it a lot. And he just and the one place they wreck it into is the guy they were looking for because they were hired by this guy's wife because she thinks that he's cheating on her with Asumi. Yeah, and then she finds him, and of course she thinks this is Gin, even though she got glasses on, and Kagura sort of hugs her. She says, you're warm. Why does the game take advantage of you? Yeah, I don't think she ever has a problem with her. It's like Gin is the one that has a problem with her. Kagura doesn't. She has no problem with her at all. And then she does something quite weird. They bring her back to the apartment. Of course, they try to prove that this woman's husband was cheating on her with Azumi. So she basically beats the crap and runs out of the apartment and runs to Gin's room where he's trying to rest. And then Azumi just kneels down like any person would by futon. And then she crawls into bed with him, which I thought was so cute. Yeah, probably just to take care of him. Yeah, but it was by far one of the most hilarious parts of an episode I've ever seen, and it would have been so funny if Kaga ever did this again, where she would pose as Geen. Yep. But not back to this particular. I know I kind of took a break because I forgot to talk about it from last episode. Yeah, second video in a row. I forgot to talk about something from last episode. No, I can't think of anything else I forgot. Nope. Eventually, for this particular arc, they do find out that he wants to assassinate Kudo, the one who's stalking Sheen's sister. By the way, Sheen's sister doesn't play a role in this whole arc at all. Nope, she doesn't. So they find out that he's going to be assassinated via somebody blurting out the plan, this guy's plan over a police radio. So they get to the train. They eventually rescue him, and then of course Hitsuka puts on a Shinigami uniform. He's like a little scared, trying to lose his confidence, and he tells basically that the chief has been rescued and try to take down the other guy. Says if you don't, in the moon I'll punish you. When I heard that, like, really? He's quoting Sailor Moon? Yeah, it's just so funny. Yeah, but it was a really interesting arc, and the main villain turns out who's actually played. Yeah, he was being used by a villain from a previous arc. The guy who was the main villain of the last known arc that was really, really dark. Yeah, he was the one behind all this. The whole thing of the overthrow of the Shinigami, stuff like that. The guy himself, and of course, this episode we reference in another episode what happens to the assassin who uses a banjo. Yeah, what happens in here does get referenced in that episode. And then after that particular episode, after this arc wraps up, there's like one standalone episode. Yeah, one. Dealing with a soccer team. Yep. Which Kaga knocks out the whole team, and the captain, who's actually this is his last game because he's going to retire because apparently he's getting old. Apparently his back and knees are really getting a problem. So they bring in replacements. So Geen, Kaga, and Sheen come aboard, along with Kaido, Sheen's sister, Azumi, Katsura, Hisagora, yeah, the guy with the cool sunglasses. Trying to think though, yeah, and they try to get like another player, and it turns out it was the janitor just having me walking by. Yeah, but it's by far, and they do this little hilarious moment where it's like man on man, and of course, Kaido's like going after the woman he frequently stalks, and of course, Otia just kicks him in the groin, and of course, Azumi tries to sort of cover Geen. So Geen just kicks her in the head, like just chops her right in the head. Yeah, I don't know why in the world he does this for. This woman basically spends her free time stalking him, and he keeps hitting her. Either with his sword, a rock, or, I don't know, his hand. Yeah. But it's one really hilarious episode. Yeah, eventually the team does score a win. Yeah, and it turns out that the opposing team are all 11 brothers, and they're all born the same exact time. That's why they all look exactly alike. I'm like, man, their mother must have basically born these, like, yeah, the whole thing of all these kids born the same, these brothers, these 11 brothers be born at the same exact time is impossible. Yes, impossible. Yeah, but that's the way the thing went. Yeah, then Guardian Dog arc. Yeah, this one was a little two-parter involving the Yakuza when they were hired by one of the bosses of the Yakuza to find out what happened to his son, and they later find out that his son was supposed to be trapped in his storehouse for like 5 years, and it turns out nope, he never was there the whole time. Yeah, it turns out the junior boss basically had manipulated to the point where he convinced everybody that he killed the boss's son even though he really didn't. Yeah, it's later found out that the boss's son commits suicide because the boss himself really wanted his son to take over him, but he had no desire for doing that. What he wanted to do was to leave a legitimate, an honest life, being a fashion designer. Okay, that's nice of him and all, but I think his father should not have interfered and basically tore up his product. And basically, in a way, this guy, the client who hired Geen in Odd Jobs Geen, basically he's kind of the indirect cause of his son's suicide. And eventually they try to overthrow him, and of course the junior boss becomes supposedly the new boss. Turns out the whole ceremony was all uh, a ploy just to get him out. Eventually they do take him on, and they take him on. And this guy also, the Guardian Dog thing, was actually referred to the junior boss because he was basically hired to protect the boss's son. Eventually became the junior boss. Mm-hmm. Though he didn't know he actually failed him. Eventually, he sort of took him as his own son, and he sort of adopted him anyways. So, yeah, this was a little interesting little arc, and I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, then pretty much after that, for the next, like, let's see, I think it's 2 plus, yeah, it's for next, like, little while, from episodes 109 to 110, 114, it's a bunch of standalone episodes. Yep. Yeah, one is, Yamakasi of the Shinigami, infiltrating the rebels. Yeah, 110 is about Katsu breaking out of prison. 112 is, well, a split episode. The first half of it basically is all about, it's sort of a loose follow-up to another episode involving a cross-dressing hostess fall in love with a boy. Yeah, it was a really odd little thing. The Umbrella one, I do remember this one really well. Yeah, if you look up basically on the Wiki site when they show a picture of Gin and Kagura, they pull a picture from this episode of, well, because Gin and Kagura have a tendency to pick their nose, so where they put the burgers, so they take out the nose anyways. Gin puts in Kagura's hair. This is one of 2 times he does it in the series I've seen, and Kagura puts hers on Gin's shirt. Yeah, it's a little adorable, like a little moment. Though it's kind of disgusting to do, but yeah, but it's just a hilarious little moment to do. Mm-hmm. Yep. And the whole thing about getting in the new umbrella, because her thought her umbrella was broken, really wasn't. Just she wanted a nice, cute umbrella, and she goes out like almost every day. The whole episode is about rain. Eventually, she even goes on a typhoon. Mm-hmm. It's a really odd little episode. Yeah, next one was all about Tama, the robot, basically having a date to herself. Yeah, this is from a arc from the manga. Yeah, 113 is. Yeah, this is weird even in the manga. Yeah, the whole thing about this one was about. The whole thing about this one is about toilet humor. Yeah, literal toilet humor. Talk about how disgusting a public restroom can be. Even if they just clean it. Like, oh yeah, let's just install like automatic like flushers and faucet thing. And his guy's like, we don't have the time or the money to put those things in. I'm sure it's probably true. Yeah, and then they go like over the top, like this one germ apparently affects the whole country. Yeah, and then it turns out the whole thing was a dream. Well, for the moment that they jump with that board in the bathroom that covers up the urinals, though their boss basically gets caught in it. Yep. It's an odd little episode. Mm-hmm. Let's see. 114 is a filler episode, kind of a follow-up to another one from back in season 1. Yeah, Hichiga sort of accidentally becomes involved with his boss's daughter, and he tries various ways to try to break up without hurting her feelings. Yeah, basically he just sort of gets in a relationship after he saves her from her co-workers to get flirting with her. And her father is the most overprotective father I've ever seen in the anime, to the point where he does not want his daughter to get a boyfriend at all. Like, apparently she remembers him from an actual episode where he fires a bazooka that's shaped with a bottle of mayonnaise. Yeah. And the reason why he wanted to pick up her, just not her feelings, because if his boss's if the chief of police found out about this, he would kill him. Like, yeah, this guy is way overprotective of his daughter to the point where he would actually openly kill his own daughter's boyfriends just to keep her single. Just because she's 16. Seriously? Yeah, this is by far the most open. Yeah, this little thing was referenced in another episode when Kagura's father show up, where it's like, I want to get this done quickly because I do not want my daughter to spend. I don't want my daughter to spend her birthday alone with her boyfriend. Seriously? Yeah, this guy is just way overprotective of his daughter. Yeah, eventually she sort of lies, basically convinced he's an alien. Yeah. Next arc, which takes up like 4 episodes, is the Rajinku arc. Yep. This one is basically. Yeah, these 4 episodes is all about saving the like a bunch of the characters, basically odd jobs, like all 3 of them: Sheen, sister, Yakuzo, Hitsugawa, Izugawa. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and Katsura. Yeah, we're all supposed to go to this underwater palace. Yeah, of course uh, Kaido's boss is there as well, because the whole thing about this one is turning everybody old, because Azumi basically doesn't want anybody's beauty, like everyone to be more beautiful than she is. Yeah, this was a really interesting. Despite the fact this one was not as serious as the Shinigami Crisis arc, but it was at least entertaining, and I love all the action for this one. And here's something though, so like all the characters turn old except for Sheen. Yeah, I'm like, okay, I guess I can kind of figure out the reason why they probably need one person who was really young. They never turned this guy old. They turned everybody else old. The first team who turned old was Katsura and Gin. Then they pretty much turned everybody else old. Yeah. Of course, there's also one of this when she first arrived in the island before all this. This is hilarious when he takes off his swim trunks and just runs around the beach butt naked, and then just by sheer coincidence he runs to Hitsugawa, and then one by one they run into each other, and because they think they're all just deserted by themselves. Turns out deserted island is actually one of their bases. Yep. And the way they stop the main villain's plot, who's calls up Orihime, and Ota basically just beats the crap out of this woman. He's like, and she first looked like a tramp. Yeah, apparently now she got old. She apparently put on a bunch of weight over the years. Yeah. All because of one guy she kept on board for too long. Yep. Yeah, eventually the palace itself was destroyed, and everybody else went out their separate ways. Oda basically later on opened up her own snack shop, and her former boyfriend, well, her lover anyways, shows up at the shop and says, "Yeah, I know this beautiful woman." And apparently, at the end, she apparently didn't know it's her, and apparently she lost all that. She's still old. She lost all that weight really quickly. Yeah. This was a little fun little arc, this was. And after that, we have 2 straight standalone episodes. Yeah, 119. A whole PSA about smoking. So he goes, and this whole episode is a DBZ parody. Like, he really wants cigarettes so badly. Like, because Edo apparently put this emergency ban on cigarettes in the whole city. So he goes on airplane to get cigarettes. He goes to a parody of the Planet Namek. Yeah, he literally goes Planet Namek aliens look like the Mickeans. And it turns out a lot of wiped out by a Frieza spoof. So he goes out to Frieza, is like, "Do you have a cigarette?" And this guy looks almost and this Frieza parody looks almost exactly like Frieza, except he has like a hair. They also face it, yeah. He meets him's like, nope, he doesn't have a cigarette, but he doesn't have one of these gooey balls, which he spits out. And then basically we see a spoof of Goku and Krillin. Yeah, and then they go back on the spaceship, they go to another planet, and they run into a spoof of Cell. Yes, they run into a spoof of Cell. He beats the crap out of him, asking for because he thinks that the Crone's parody has a cigarette, so he wants to use Gooey Balls to resurrect them. So instead of resurrecting the Krillin spoof, he asks for a clean pair of panties. Yeah, referencing the first actual wish made in the Dragon Ball series, made by Oolong of all things. Yeah, this was one real odd episode, and it eventually goes back to that point where it has the last cigarette they made. It's like, okay, after this, I'm giving up smoking, despite the fact that he still smokes after that. Yep. Yeah. 120. Katsu introducing it's about Katsu infiltrating a restaurant basically for aliens only. Yeah. Yeah, it turns out that the whole thing just ends with just the idiot prince who just somehow just wandered in there because he was kicked off a ship by accident by his own butler. So yeah, the thing was just abruptly ends. It was nothing really much to the episode. And then the second half is just going to a restaurant. Then the next few episodes is just next 3 episodes is well, these episodes is just the characters playing RPG game to solve their problem and a lot of them turn into screwdrivers. The exception of Hichiga and Azumi, yeah, she comes back in this arc. hmm Even though they eventually, it's a really interesting little episode, and I kind of wish Azumi was actually there offsite with the group and Hitsugawa, but Hitsugawa was still in the game, and Azumi is just nowhere to be seen. She disappears halfway through the arc, and they don't explain why. They do find aliens, but they never get a chance to reverse their condition. And by next episode, they're perfectly fine. Yep. Yeah, they're absolutely perfectly fine. 124 is just all about Otzi putting out a new single and having her fans sort of help out with it. And she also briefly goes on planning to get herself a massage, a bathe. And she's like, oh no, let's go back to Earth to get that thing done. Yeah. And the whole song is about forget the broadcasting rights, broadcasting regulations. And the whole thing was full of swearing, and then they're in a bridge version as part of the ending titles. It was a pretty good song. 25 is, well, a filler. Yep. And yeah, where they play rock, paper, scissors in an arc. And then, of course, the next 3 episodes, the correspondence. Like, yeah, this one doesn't involve much action. Yeah, it's just Sheen finding Lemon Beach, becoming and getting involved with being a pen pal to a girl who is about his age. He does meet her. He doesn't officially say anything to her. He does meet her, and he does later on. He does find her woman's name. Yeah, she looks almost exactly like Sheen, except she's a human version of him. And we also see in this arc Sheen's bedroom for the first time, where his whole bedroom is covered with Otsuya memorabilia, posters of her everywhere around this whole room. Yeah. I'm like, I guess this is probably if she came to his house, is like, he probably either cover up as like, wow, you're a big fan of me. Yep. Yeah, eventually they do, after breaking the window, they do become pen pals. Though she's never seen any of the series ever again. I'm up to a point in the manga. I'm like, the recent time I read was 104 This woman never appears again after this arc. Yeah, it's almost like this whole arc, which is pointless. Yep. And then after that, we have right after the Ghost Raikkonen arc, which is just a spoof of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. Like, these ghosts are stands, and the whole thing with these stands are going to heaven, and a lot of these ghosts are actually celebrities, people who died in the past. Gene himself never got a chance to talk to these people that much, and there's even three guys who apparently killed each other in real life before they died, and they all walk around the hotel wearing underwear for like no reason. But they do reference JoJo's Bizarre Adventures mainly. I think it's mostly a little partially based upon a little. Yeah, if I remember from the actual series itself, there was actually a brief little mini arc set during Star Wars Crusaders where they went to a haunted hotel. Yeah, this is similar to that. Yeah, and they're sent up there. And here's the thing about this particular arc. This arc actually came before the correspondence arc. Yeah, but they actually air these arcs out. They adapt these arcs out of order. Yeah, not the first one, and they do this later on in the series as well, where they adapt arcs out of order. Yeah, this was a fun little arc. It was exciting too. They even had Geen being possessed by a bunch of stands just to defeat the main villain of the arc, and then of course she gets redeemed, and her husband goes to heaven. Yeah, it turns out the reason why the resort looks the way it does is because she keeps him from going to heaven. There's also this really fun little moment, and it's the first time I've seen this series of an actual bathhouse scene. I haven't seen these very much in several series I've watched. I've seen this in Naruto Shippuden twice. Actually, it's one episode of the series, and of course in the film. I've seen this in One Piece like 2 or 3 times. Let's see. I'm trying to think what other series did this. Um, Nope, Shiruka never did this. I'm trying to think though. I know this series has done it. I'm trying to think there was any other series. Oh yeah, Akame got Kill a few episodes like this of bathhouse scenes. Oh yeah, Fairy Tail had it. I know Seven Deadly Sins never had it. Nope, it never has. It's never had one, even though they did have one brief little one in the manga. But as far as I know, they never adapted this particular short for the episode for the anime itself. I don't know why, but they don't. I'm trying to think there was any other series that did that for. No, they didn't do it for JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I think of no. Huh. Nope, only about 5 series I've seen as far. So it's not a bad idea to do. Yeah, it just basically just fan service. I've seen Kagura and Otsi in a bathhouse. Though they're wearing towels, so at least they're not seeing them butt naked. Though for some reason they allow these girls to wear towels in the water, which is a little weird. hmm Though I guess for Kagura it's probably an exception because she's 14, so it's not good to see her naughty bits. Yeah, but yeah, it was a really interesting little arc. hmm And then after that we have 4 straight standalone episodes. Yep, 4 straight ones. One is a follow-up to another episode from the previous season involving Gaita Man. Yeah, where the writer of the manga is a monkey. Yeah, another one which is basically like a Death Note ripoff, where trying to find a house, they find a house, and it turns out the place was site of murder. 37 is a split part one, where where Azumi and Kaido tried to get it on with their respective love interest. Uh, Gin meets the Santorini from the previous season again. That was nice. 38 is, well, something from the manga. Yeah, revolving around the previous odd jobs. Apparently, it's implied he may have killed them all, and even though one of them was showing me alive in a flashback. Yeah. Yeah, 2 of the ones have psycho guns. One member is called the Flashy Woman. Never know much about this woman, and I'm surprised she never got a chance to talk to Otsu basically about this. Yeah, and then we have a 8-episode arc. Yes, an arc that lasts from episodes 140, the 139 to 146. This is the Yager and Flames arc. Yeah, this also is a little bit of development on Kagura's part. This also is the first full appearance of her brother Kadui. And in terms of the main villain, this arc used to be the king of the Yato clan. Yeah, the former king. And in turn, and also, he has connections to the pirates. What was the name of the pirates? They made their debut in their own self-titled arc. Let's see, what was the name of them? It was the Harasome. Yeah, and they even brought up in the episode of the 2 times that they've encountered them. And Kumi basically took over his job after he retired, Hazen. Yeah, and after a long, grueling arc, they eventually do win. And Kumi takes credit for his death, even though Gin was the one who killed them, via exposing him to the sun. Yeah, so he buried him. Kagura's father shows up at the end, first time in the actual. I would say this is his first appearance in season. This is the first thing he's been on Earth since season 1. He did make a brief appearance in the previous season for like one episode, all about him growing back his hair. Yep. But this by far was a really exciting arc, and this arc did introduce a woman. I don't remember her name. She's a woman who has like a scar over her eye. Let's see if I can look her up here. Well, what is her name here? Because she later becomes a recurring character throughout the rest of the series, but this arc is noteworthy for her debut. Trying to find where she is. Let's see if we can try to find her. But I know she makes a debut in this arc, and she later becomes a character who still appears as and she also smokes too. Yeah, she smokes this big pipe, which Geen shoves into the eye of the main villain. Trying to find her name here. Tatsuyo. Yeah, that's her name, Tatsuyo. Yep. She was the head of their law enforcement, but then she became sort of a regular character throughout the rest of the series. Yeah, and she has a scar on her face because she just sort of got rid of her womanhood in a way with her face. Yeah, and her boss Hiroara, I think it's pronounced his name. Yeah, and the whole arc is basically just having this boy meet his beautiful mother. He eventually does, though they never leave the place anyways, though. And the reason why she doesn't leave and she can't even stand, because apparently the main villain removed part of her foot, like the back of her feet, so it's nice and flat. She can't even stand or even walk. Yeah, so she stays behind. And then pretty much like right after this arc wraps up, they even have the next episode that comes right after this one is just an aftermath one, dealing with Kaga and Sheen want to get stronger because during the course of the arc, Kaga went nuts and nearly killed one member of her own clan, trying to become kind of like her brother. And her brother develops a grudgingly respect for Geen because he defeated the King of the Night. So he's like he does not want to kill him at all. So, and he's also kind of the reason why he would leave. He's put in charge of this particular district. He leaves it alone. He doesn't do anything with it. He leaves it as is. Though his will basically take control of it. 48 49. This whole arc, the Shinigami Death Game arc, is just a spoof of the Jigsaw movies. Yeah, and it turns out the whole thing with this one is that Hitsura and Soto get kidnapped by this masked man who calls himself Jigsaw. Yep. And they're trying to get out of this room, and they do get out of the room via sheer will on the part of Hitsura, basically, who breaks a pipe through the chains right up. Now, in the original film of Saw, the chain was actually around the two people, but it wasn't around their necks, it was around their foot. Yeah, and I've seen the original film. The only way the film ended was to have one of the characters chop off their own foot in order to get out of the room. Yeah, that was how they got out of the room, by chopping their foot. Look how they were dead here with chopping off the other children's heads. Yeah, as for what happened to Hitsuga, never revealed because he comes back in the next time we see he comes back perfectly fine and never mentioned what happened to this whole arc. And the last episode, they think this is going to be the finale for the whole series. Yeah, and then eventually they tried to play some episode that probably never happened, and they're convinced by the symbol of the Shonen Jump magazine to continue, though he sticks out his arm like he's like, is he in the mech underneath that cloak? Who knows? And the character Elizabeth shows up, and it's actually the supervisor of the show in that suit. Yep. Otherwise, though, that's really it. This was a really great season, and next It'll be on to the 4th season of the show, which this one is 51 episodes also. Yep, going from episodes 51 to 201. Yeah, but at least I did this, at least I finished the season up in just 5 days instead of doing it in just a week. Yep. So as when we'll do next season, next review, when I finish it up. Depends on when I do, okay? But see you in the next review. Bye.